a company with the size of revenues, Nvidia growing at 80%, I think shows that there is still, unrelenting demand for the product Nvidia sells. And then we know that those who are starting to use AI are actually noticing kind of a gain of function on productivity. Ken Griffin really stated it well when he says he could see it's replacing a lot of analysts. So to me, I think not only are the users of AI benefiting, but there's still a shortage of those who are supplying the equipment.
And he's not wrong. We're already seeing it. Junior analysts, researchers, associates. The jobs that used to take a team are now getting done by one person with the right AI tools. That's not a prediction anymore. That's happening right now. And Nvidia's earnings just confirmed the infrastructure behind it isn't slowing down. It's accelerating. So the question isn't if this changes your industry, it's how fast. Stay to the end. Because Tom Lee also flags exactly where the next market risk is hiding. And if you're new here, subscribe. We break down Wall Street's biggest calls every week.
But you listen to Walmart, which was pretty cautious, and you're like, what is the real state of the consumer? And if oil prices remain elevated for too long, is that the thing that wrecks the story?
Scott, yeah, it is, in a way it is K-shaped, because if I had to say, okay, what are the things that are sort of ballast and things moving the consumer? Of course, we know that it's higher gasoline, higher food, and of course there's going to be a shortage of some petroleum products. But on the other end of that spectrum is, the wealth that's going to be created by the IPO of SpaceX, OpenAI, et cetera. I mean, that's several $trillion worth. And as we know, there's like a marginal propensity to consume from the wealth effect. So I think the consumer is getting a tailwind later this year, but a lot of it is for those who own equity.
I mean, a tailwind from owning the IPOs?
Well, it's actually in private investors. As we know, SpaceX was probably seeded at $50 million. It probably raised tens of billions over the last decade, but now it's going to have a net worth valuation of around 1.7 trillion. So that's actually now going to be monetized for the LPs of the funds that invested in SpaceX. So they're several $trillion is quite a lot of stimulus to the economy.
Wow. Okay. Hampton's real estate market. Watch out. AI trade. How do you feel about it after Nvidia?
I mean, a company with the size of revenues, Nvidia growing at 80%, I think shows that there is still, unrelenting demand for the product Nvidia sells. And then we know that those who are starting to use AI are actually noticing kind of a gain of function on productivity. Ken Griffin really stated it well when he says he could see it's replacing a lot of analysts. So to me, I think not only are the users of AI benefiting, but there's still a shortage of those who are supplying the equipment. I think we had like what Ed Yardeni would call a rolling bear market in things like Mag 7, and of course last year in energy, but in software, etc. But I think later this year, the market is going to confront a few things. One, of course, is just your typical midterm seasonality, the uncertainty into that. The second is that there is a day of reckoning coming, because the inventory of petroleum products is short and not being alleviated anytime soon. And the third is we probably have some concerns later as these IPOs come, SpaceX, OpenAI, et cetera, that there's a lockup expiration later. So I think that's a supply overhang. So I think that dynamic comes to play later this year. But in the meantime, I think investors are focusing on AI fundamentals, and there's a real shortage, and stocks that are working are the ones that are selling something that's scarce. I think we've already had a bear market in Mag 7 and software. I think there's going to be a bear market in other stocks later this year, yes. But I think it's going to spare the Mag 7 and software. So it's going to be names that either got lofty or are going to be affected by the fact that there is a lot of supply of new stock later this year, or the companies that are going to get hit by this shortage in petroleum products. So I think there's reasons that we could have headwinds later this year.
Are you talking about like semiconductor stocks?
Yeah, semis may become a bubble. To me, they don't seem like a bubble yet. When Nvidia is trading at 19 times earnings, I think it's still a good risk reward. But I think that there are parts of that ecosystem that have become quite expensive.
So here's the summary. Tom Lee sees AI demand as unrelenting, the U.S. as structurally advantaged, but headwinds building later this year around oil, IPO supply, and seasonal pressure. The smart money is watching scarcity and betting on the companies selling what nobody has enough of. If this breakdown was useful, smash subscribe and drop a comment. Are you buying the AI trade or waiting for the pullback?